Welcome today to the Canadian virtual meeting for the International Institute for Genealogical Studies. I'm Cheryl Levy, and today we're going to talk about United Empire Loyalists. And I do have some slides to share. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so this is the Canadian Records virtual meeting, and I'm just going to quickly look at the certificate, Canadian Records certificate, because we have a new tool on the website. So if you go into our website and go where it says all courses, so it's under genealogy store, and then the drop down all courses, and it lists all the certificates. If you click on the Canadian Records certificate, it will show you how many courses you've completed and how many you have remaining. Now mine, they're all completed, and so I couldn't show you part way, but that is a new tool that's been added. So if anyone is going in and they're wondering how many more courses they need to purchase or they need to complete for their certificate, the tool is right at the top. And then you keep scrolling down, and then it'll show you all of the courses alphabetically. And so I just wanted to highlight that. And so here is also the course order that we recommend for you to take the courses. And of course, all of the basic level courses, and then the intermediate, and then the advanced. And this is a nice little chart that helps keep you on track. Okay, so also along with our Canadian Records courses is the methodology courses, and those really form the basis of all of our certificates. And they give you the basics, and then, or the foundational concepts, and then the country courses then show how they're used in different locations. And so then that's showing me how many of my methodology courses I have finished. And then it will also show you your complete certificates. So here's all of the Canadian basic, intermediate, advanced, and then the methodology to give me my 40 courses for my Canadian PLCGS certificate. And if anyone who doesn't know, the PLCGS stands for Professional Learning Certificate in Genealogical Studies. Now, I've also completed the DNA certificate. You can combine and use the DNA courses or the courses for any other country or theme that you want in order to fill in your electives. And so I also have my Canadian DNA certificate, and it will show you, if you're planning to do that, how many more courses that you need in order to complete that. So that's a really cool tool that I just wanted you to be aware of that has been added to the website. Okay, so today I was going to focus on a Canadian elective course, because we have the compulsory courses, but then we have a lot of other electives, that can apply to what you're studying. Sorry. Okay, so this is one of the areas that I'm particularly interested in. And so it is the United Empire Loyalists. And so you say, who were the loyalists and who qualifies to be a loyalist? So very simply, it's either male or female, and yes, there are females, that as of the 19th of April, 1775, they were a resident in the American colonies. They had to be there and be a resident before that date. And then they joined with the British in some form, whether that was in support or whether it was in a regiment or in some way supported the Crown and the British effort, and that if they were a soldier, specifically in a regiment, and they were then disbanded in Canada, is another way to see if they qualify. And also, there were members of the Six Nations that either went to Grand River or the Bay of Quinte, and people who descend from them can also be classified as loyalists. Okay, so it's quite strict to be able to be classified for that. And the organization that is overseeing this in Canada is the United Empire Loyalists Association of Canada. And they have a really good website, and they have a weekly email, e-newsletter called Loyalist Trails. It comes every Sunday, and it is free. You can sign up for it on their website, and these are all on the main website. So if you go to uelac.ca, this is right on the main page where you can sign up for the e-newsletter. The Loyalist Gazette comes out quarterly, and that is for members only. And the conference, there is a conference every year, and this year it is coming up. It's in Cornwall, Ontario. Okay, so this is the website, and you can become a member. You don't have to be a descendant of a loyalist to be a member, but if you are seeking the certification, or not the certification, but the certificate of your loyalist ancestor, you need to be a member in order to apply for that. Okay, and one of the resources that they have on their website is the Loyalist Directory, and they are compiling all the known loyalists in this website, in this directory, and they're all alphabetical, and it is really good. It's being built all the time. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of ones that I have found. And this is Zenas Ross, and he is in there. He was a private, and he is proven. So it'll tell you if they were proven or not, if they qualified. He settled in Fredericksburg, and he was part of the 84th Regiment and also the King's Rangers and the King's Royal Regiment of New York. That's the KRRNY. And he settled, he's actually an ancestor for my grandchildren. And this is his father-in-law. He married the daughter of the commander officer there. And this is Simon Wright Sr., and he is proven, and it even gives his lot and concession of where he settled in Fredericksburg. And this is all people have added from their research into this directory to build the profiles for the loyalists who came to Canada. And they'll give you a lot of different information. And it says right there that he lived with his son-in-law and his daughter with Zenas Ross. Okay, and then it gives his wife and also gives their children. And this one, they're giving a lot of information about his children in this profile. And then the next one is my ancestor, who is in Nova Scotia, and he's proven. He settled in Cape Negro Harbor in Shelburne in Nova Scotia. And it gives, he was part of the Royal Associated Refugees, and which were attached to the King's American Regiment. And he was from Sandwich, Massachusetts, and gives a little bit of information about there. And he was a privateer in the American Revolution, and gives just a little bio and information about some of his service when he was working with the British and working with the Navy, the British Navy. Okay, but it also gives his wife, and she was the daughter of Job Bourne and Lydia Swift, and these are their 10 children. And I'm descended from the very last one. Mary, who was not born in Sandwich, Massachusetts, was in fact born in Rhode Island when they had fled to the British at that time. Okay. And so I'll also bring this in, that this was a kind of a shock for me. I didn't really think about looking in the Daughters of the American Revolution for any of my ancestors because I knew that he was a loyalist. And I didn't think about looking here, but then I watched a webinar on it, and they have a place where you can search for your ancestors. And the reason I actually went here was because on Ancestry, I found a document saying that it was an application for the Sons, SAR, the Sons of the American Revolution, and said that he served and that he was a patriot. And so I was going in here to see, but he wasn't a patriot. He had shown up for a militia, and then he fled to the British. And so, no, he doesn't qualify as a patriot. But I did put in his wife, Thankful. I put in her father, Job Bourne, and to see if I could find out about her father. And yes, he was a patriot. So my Loyalist, her father was a patriot. So how do you think that went? And so here he is, it's Joe Bourne, and he's in Sandwich, Massachusetts, and his wife, Lydia Smith. And then farther down the page, it gives the descendants, and there is his daughter, Thankful, and her husband, Samuel Perry. And so there we go. I have loyalists and I have patriots. And so even if you think that you only have one or the other, look in both databases because you never know what you're going to find. Also look up their siblings and even cousins, because the American Revolution split families, and you don't know which side that they went to. And if they disappear from the records, it could be that they became a loyalist and went to Canada. Okay. So also on the UELAC site is a section for the Royal Provincial website, and they now have moved it there, and it gives a list of the Loyalist regiments, and it's a really comprehensive list. So if you go there and click on that on their website, you can see all the regiments and see if your ancestor fits into them, where they were serving, and get a little bit more information about the regiments. Okay, one of the first places to go is, of course, Family Search. And so for Family Search, you need to sign in. If you don't have an account, you should start a free account. And then my favorite place is the Research Wiki. And so you sign in first, and then you click Research Wiki. And then you want to put in Loyalist or something similar. And so when I did, I got links to one database is the Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, and Loyalist ancestors in the U.S. Revolutionary War. And just see how many results. There's a lot of results, and then just click and see if any of those are going to be relevant to your research. So I also found one for Canadian Loyalists. And if you go into Canada Genealogy and down the side in the topics, you're going to find Loyalists. And so I clicked on it, and here's just a few clips from what is on this page in the wiki for Canada Loyalist records. There's also one for American Loyalists and explains about them. And again, there are more links to check out. And when you're doing these links, usually if it's Ancestry or a site where it's to pay, you need a subscription, it'll have a little dollar sign beside it. But this one is going to Library and Archives Canada, so it doesn't have a $sign. Okay, also search in the family search catalog and then just see what comes up. And so when I put in Loyalists, I got over 1 million results. Okay, and here's another one. It's the American Loyalist claims. So this is just an example of one of the collections that they have. And notice over here, the format, it has a little camera with a key. So the camera means that it has images that you can see, but the key means that it's locked. And so if you come across that and you click on it, it's going to say that you have to visit a family history center or a family search affiliate library. And there's quite a few affiliate libraries popping up now. I know that the library where my Genealogy Society is, they're an affiliate library now. And so it's moving beyond the family history centers, but they have restrictions. They're not online. You have to actually go to an affiliate library in order to view those images. Okay, also look in Google Books because there's a lot of books that refer to research for Loyalists. And I have a bookshelf in my library just for Loyalists. And you can put them in there, all the books that you're finding, and even articles that refer to the topic. And this topic is for Loyalists. Okay, also check the Internet Archive for Loyalists and just put it in and search. Do 2 searches, one search for the metadata, so Loyalists will show up in the description, but also put it in for the text contents, and that way it will show anytime Loyalist is showing up in the text inside of those books. Also check Cindy's list, and she has a whole section on Loyalists and resources and places to look for that. And anytime you go to Cindy's list, there's a search bar. You just put your topic in there, and then you can find out all of the resources that she has been gathering on her website. Just a note, it can be a little cumbersome to navigate Cindy's list website. There's a lot of ads, but that helps her to pay for her website and hosting it and keeping it free so that anybody can come in and use the resources that she's gathered. So don't get upset with the ads. It helps to keep it free for all of us. Okay, so one of the major places that we're going to look for Loyalists is Library and Archives Canada. And they have a lot of records. And so if you go to the section on Loyalists, it'll give you a lot of links. And I'm going to show you a few of these. And I've just taken clips of them rather than try to go to the website and with slow internet to wait for every page to load. But it's the Library and Archives Canada, it's Loyalists, and Loyalists is under military. It's under military heritage. Okay, and so there, this is just scrolling down the same page. And when you go to a page, make sure you read all of the information that's on that page. And I've just taken a few clips out of it. So as you're going down, it's going to give you a definition of the Loyalists, and that it was those who settled in Canada after the American Revolution. And the American Revolution was between 1775 and 1783. A few did come before that as refugees, but the Loyalists are mainly after 1783. And so it's going to have databases, and each one is going to have information. So the AO 12 and 13 are the collections in the British, they're the British records that refer to the time period of the American Revolution. There's also the Book of Negroes, and this is for those in the States who signed up with the British with the promise of freedom if they would fight for the British. And so when they lost the war and they're leaving, they fulfilled that promise, and they were all written in a book, an actual book, with all of their names and gender and all of those statistics and the ships, and they shipped them to Canada. And if you've watched the CBC program Book of Negroes, it gives you a really good idea of what they went through in order to gain their freedom and come to Nova Scotia. A lot of them came to Nova Scotia. Some went to Ontario and or Upper and Lower Canada and New Brunswick as well, and PEI. But a lot came to the area that my Loyalists in Shelburne, their settlement was Birchtown, and a lot of their descendants are there. Okay, then there's the British headquarters papers, and there is a database link for that. There's British military and naval records. And there are land petitions, and the Loyalists were granted land for their service and in compensation for their losses, but they had to petition for it, and they had to qualify, and they had conditions that they had to fulfill in order to keep that land and gain the title to it. And sometimes, like some of my ancestors, they had circumstances where they had to petition for more time to be able to fulfill those. And if you have a petition, it's going to give you a lot of information on why they qualify. And I have a British soldier who his petition tells when he enlisted, where he was born, what regiment he was in, his years of service, when he was disbanded. So there's a lot of things in, a lot of details in land petitions about their military service as they're explaining why they qualify for this land. And so you can glean a lot of clues out of that. There's Loyalist lists. And some of the people on the list were later found out that they didn't qualify. And if they're struck from the list, it's called, they're expunged. Expunged means that they were on the list, but they didn't qualify. And so they are removed from the list. But they could still be on a written or published list, and then they should have expunged beside it. Okay, then there's the Sir Frederick Haldeman papers and the War Office 28 headquarter records. There's also another collection. And as you go through and you click those links that were all on that introduction page, so if you see at the top, one of the easiest ways to help you to figure out where you are on the Library and Archives Canada website is to look at the top. So you can see that this was home under the Discover the Collection link, then it was Military Heritage, and then it was Loyalists. And then on that Loyalist page, I clicked this one, the Black Loyalist Refugees that went with the Port Roseway Associates. And they're the ones that settled in Birchtown, which is not far from Shelburne. And things went well for them for a while, but pretty soon, the old prejudices come up, and they were given the lower status jobs, or they were having a hard time. And so the British, in promising to resettle them, they came up with a plan to send them, anyone who wanted to Sierra Leone on the coast of Africa and start the town of Freetown. And they put them on ships, the ones that signed up, and sent them over there. And what's really cool is today in Birchtown, there is a center there with all the information they have about those Black Loyalists. And a couple years ago, there were descendants from Sierra Leone that came to visit Birchtown, where their ancestors had come after the war and before they went to Freetown. And so this is a really good, it's an area that has a lot of research been done with it. And if you have an ancestor who was a Black Loyalist, there could be a lot of information for you there. Okay, then there's another database that's the Loyalists in the Maritimes, and those are the Ward Chipman Master Office papers, and that was from 1777 to 1785. And there's information in there. And on each of these pages, when you click on them, read all the information. It gives you a background. It gives you qualifications for them to be in that database. And it just is good information. But it's going to take you time. It's not something that you're just going to be able to skim through. And so I'm just going to go back. So see at the bottom, it has, you know, all of the things on the page, but then it has search the database. When you click there, it comes up with a little form that you fill in the surname and the given name for your ancestor and see if they are in that database. Okay, there's also the Carleton papers, and that is mostly for the Book of Negroes in 1783 and recording of all of their information before they came to Canada out of New York. And then there's the Carleton papers that refer to the Loyalists and the British soldiers that because they evacuated Loyalists out, but they also evacuated British soldiers out. Some of the soldiers stayed in Canada and some of them went back to England. But the ones that stayed often took land or continued as soldiers in Canada for the British. Okay, and so here's one, and my ancestor, I've put him in because he was a Loyalist. And when I put his name into this database, I came up with 5 documents that name him and are documents about his service with the British. Okay, there's also information on Canadiana and Heritage websites. And if you put in Loyalists, you can see that there's lots of information. When you get the number from Library and Archives Canada, a lot of times it'll refer you here to this website to look up the actual images on the microfilms. And so you just have to follow the directions for that. And an example is coming up. This one is for the AO12 claims, which are held in the National Archives in Kew in England. And this is an example of the documents. You're going to get images of the actual documents, and they're on microfilms on Canadiana and Heritage. Okay, so for the Archives of Ontario, they also have Loyalist records, and they have actually a research guide that you can download and tells you exactly how to find records in the Archives of Ontario. Unfortunately, they are not all in one place. It is confusing to find them. And a lot of times it's like putting a puzzle together. You're going to find a little piece here and a little piece there. And they're going to tell you, oh, go to, you know, they're in this bundle and they're in this book. And then you have to take that code number. So anytime you see a number, write it down. But this research guide will help you to show you where to look for those things and then how to find what they have on their website. Some things are on their website, some things are on the Library and Archives Canada website, and some are on Family Search. So you just gotta keep looking until you put all the pieces together. Part of the hunt, right? It's part of being detectives. So for Ancestry, there is a blog, and it's been made into a PDF, and it is the Loyalist resources on Ancestry. There are quite a few different databases, and they are all on this PDF. And so when you go into their blog, just search for Loyalist resources on Ancestry, and then download that research guide for that. This is an example of one of the databases for Loyalists on Ancestry, and you just put your information in and search to see if your ancestor is in that database. And always read what is included in that so that you know that you're looking in the right one, and that don't get frustrated that they're not in there when it's not the right database. Okay, so that was just a few resources that complement our course. And our course is Research United Empire Loyalist Ancestors. A lot of this information and background is there, but it's going to refer you out to where you can do your research to gather the information in order to document your Loyalist ancestor. Okay, and I just wanted to mention that we have 3 courses that are specifically to the US colonial period. And one of them is the United Empire Loyalists who came to Canada. They were in colonial New England. And so the course, the colonial New England ancestors, would be the research that you would need before they came, because remember, they had to be a resident of the colonies. And before that, they could have been on the Mayflower. And actually, my Loyalist and his wife both are descended from Mayflower ancestors. And so that could be yours as well. If they're New England and they're Massachusetts, you very well could be a Mayflower descendant. And this is just a little plug for our US Colonial Records virtual meeting is going to be held next week on May the 21st. And I haven't decided yet which topic we're going to do, but we will be looking at colonial records next week on the 21st. The Canadian Records virtual meeting for June will be on June the 18th. And we hope that you will join us for that. And then this slide is for a lot of the links to various aspects of the International Institute for Genealogical Studies at genealogicalstudies.com. And we have courses, information on courses, certificates. We have a genealogy store with even t-shirts now. We have a blog, and so sign up for our blog. We have Facebook and Twitter, and also Pinterest, and YouTube, and Instagram. So we are trying to keep up with social media and let people know what's going on and what courses that we're offering as they do their research. Check out the YouTube channel if you haven't been there recently. Angie has added some more videos on being a lecturer, a genealogy lecturer. She has videos on writing. There's videos on a lot of different topics that guests that we've had come and speak at our student lounges. And so just check out the videos and see, there might be something that you've missed. And our social network is Genealogy Wise or Genealogy Social. And if you join that, you can be part of the Genealogy Wise groups. And their groups have been made from people doing surname studies or just for a location on a certain topic. There is one for Loyalists. I probably should have put that in the slides as well, but there are people on Genealogy Wise that have been doing Loyalist research as well. And so if you're doing the recording, put it on pause so that you can write down these different URLs. Okay, so that is our recording for today. And I'm just going to stop my share and come back and ask if there are any questions. Was that helpful? Do you have Loyalist ancestors or have done Loyalist research?
I don't, but are there any Loyalist records in Nova Scotia?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I didn't put that on there. I guess it's in the, there's not a specific place. And that's the whole thing with the Loyalists is you have to piece it together. So in Nova Scotia archives, in the Nova Scotia archives, they have a lot of land petitions and they show up on those, but it doesn't say that they're specifically Loyalists. It just says land petitions. And if they're to Shelburne, then you know that they're probably Loyalists, but you know, there are a lot of other people too. And so,
Sorry,
go ahead.
there are a lot of military. So even on the land maps, it'll say captain, it'll say colonel, it'll say, so you know that they're military. So you just have to figure out if it's before the Revolutionary War or after.
And there's soldiers, there's British soldiers. So I have 2 British soldiers that took land in Nova Scotia and 1 Loyalist. And yeah, remember too that there were so many Loyalists that came to Nova Scotia that they opened New Brunswick. And so they sent a lot of the Loyalists up to New Brunswick and separated the 2 provinces at that time. Also remember that Cape Breton was considered separate. And so there's land petitions for Nova Scotia, but there's land petitions for Cape Breton as well. And they're in two different databases. Another thing to remember for Loyalists that they came after the war or when it started. I have an ancestor whose son fought at Louisburg, and then he says, I don't want to fight against the British and I don't want to fight against my neighbors. So he came to Halifax and sat out the war and stayed neutral because he didn't want to take sides. And so there's different reasons why people are coming. Before the Loyalists, we had the Nova Scotia planters who also came from New England, and they are not Loyalists. Those are planters. They came in the 1760s after the Acadians were expelled and during the 7 Years' War and resettling those areas. And so they are a good 15 years before the American Revolution happened. And so just because they're American and just because they're from Massachusetts or the colonies doesn't mean that they're a Loyalist. So you have to figure out when they came, if they're a planter, a New England planter, or they're a Loyalist. And so watch out for that. And some people just came because they didn't want to stay. And I don't, my daughter of my Loyalist married the son of a patriot who came after the war, but he was just coming for the land. And so there's different reasons why people come. You have to really figure out when they came and what they were doing before they came. It's a puzzle. And we're the detectives, right? Only we don't have the cover of the box to say how all the pieces fit together. Okay, any other questions? And Loyalists came to Upper Canada and to Lower Canada as well, and their story is a little bit different than the ones that went to Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. So find out the history of the area that they went to. I'm in Bay of Quinte, and there's Mohawk Loyalists here that settled in the reserve, the Tyendinaga Reserve, and they're Loyalists from the Six Nations. They were Mohawk warriors in the American Revolution, and so they're just as much Loyalists as the New England the other settlers that came here. So it's really finding out the background of when they came and why they came, and then connecting them to what they did before they came. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording for today and say thank you for joining me for the Canadian virtual meeting. And again, it's the International Institute for Genealogical Studies. And our website is genealogicalstudies.com. And I hope that you will join us again. Thank you.